Hey, what's going on, everybody? Got Pete back again from the Rage Quit Wire. We're going to be painting up more A Song of Ice and Fire stuff today. We didn't get to stream yesterday just because I had some meetings and other things that kind of got in the way, but we're back again today. So, A Song of Ice and Fire Mountains Men, these models are really cool. They're really heavy hitting, so I'm really excited to paint these up because these are just some sweet looking models. Um, they're from the Lannisters. Of course, they're belonging to the Mountain himself. So you know with these two-handed swords, they're just going to be hitting like trucks. So we're going to paint them up today. I already got started a little bit with the silver just because I got bored last night, so I decided to start them up. But before I start this, I did want to show you guys a couple things. I am going to start painting some Warhammer 40k stuff after this. So I'm going to start assembling it. So you guys aren't going to see all the fun stuff with these Space Marine sprues. We are going to paint these ones up like Ultramarines because that's kind of what the kit looks like. I'm not a huge fan of painting Ultramarines because they're Smurfs and not my favorite chapter, but we are going to paint those up. So hopefully you guys check that out when we start streaming that probably tomorrow. Depends on how long it takes me to fix these Mountains Men up. And my favorite part of this kit, though, for this 40k kit, it's the They Shall Know No Fear box. It comes with all this cool Nurgle stuff. So that includes the Blight drone, which if you haven't seen the Blight drone before, it's a really cool looking I don't know, is it a vehicle? And then of course it has this huge Terminator armor wearing Death Marine. So Nurgle's always been one of my favorite chapters, so I'm really excited to paint that up. But I'll start assembling those tonight and hopefully start painting them on stream. I am going to stream Saturday since I didn't stream today some painting. So we are going to get into it today, though, with the Mountains Men. And I'm going to go ahead and just start painting that up. We're going to go with the bronze. This is my favorite. I've really been loving this Rulic Gold. All right, let's get my paint handle, and we're going to get into it. This can go away. And there we are, getting into it. Yeah, I've been kind of jonesing to play A Song of Ice and Fire recently, so I'm really kind of having a good time painting a lot of this stuff up. So these guys are kind of, it's not exactly full plate, they got a lot of chain too. So they're almost like a glass cannon in this game, where if they get to where they want to go, they can do some really gnarly damage. But their armor isn't great, so they do go away pretty easy if they get hit with anything decent. I'm going to start painting up some of these Baratheon units too. I think I'm going to lean heavy Stannis though. You know, the one true king. Now this is going to look like gold at first, but as I wash it, it's going to turn into more of a bronze. And it's going to go really good with these reds and yellows that we're going to use for sure. I always forget, you know, the crazy thing is I always forget to just kind of share this real quick while I'm painting. Share now. There we go. Yeah, I always get into it. I'm like, crap, I forgot to share this to anywhere that matters. So, be up at a lot of lawn work I did yesterday and didn't get a lot of hobbying done. Need to get back on to streaming at night. Just because I've been having a lot of fun with that. Yeah, let's paint that up. Yeah, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. I kind of want to do the Baratheons, but I don't have everything for them yet. Because I don't even have the Heroes box. I can't even find my Renly, so I don't even know where the hell that is. So, if I wanted to play Renly, I couldn't even do it right now. Renly might have got lost in the move. Bangkok got him. I do want to give a shout out to the Rage Quit Wire patrons, though. Because of them, we were able to get a boon for this camera, so when that shows up, the angle for painting is going to be a lot better. Just because that's going to allow it to be overhead instead of this, so that way it's not as awkward for me to paint, and I don't have to keep getting out of the camera angle. So, thanks, patrons. You guys are awesome. Okay, I think that's good. Yeah, patrons definitely are appreciated because they really kind of enable our podcast, The Rage Quit Wire, and starting to enable a lot of the video content we're doing. So definitely appreciate all those patrons that help us out. Hoping to really kind of up the game with this video content as we go along. Okay. That's good. We'll get some more metal on that. And there's some of this that I didn't quite hit up. So I was kind of in between like 5 different things while I was painting these yesterday. Plus, I don't know how many of you guys paint at night, but sometimes when I paint at night, I just kind of do some shortcuts. I'm just like, that's good. I'll leave it. Like this I think this was like one of the last guys that I hit up last night. So he doesn't even have a lot of his silver done yet, which is fine. Fine, just fine. Supposed to be getting this basketball hoop today too. See if that happens. Okay. Yeah, so pretty excited. Gonna paint up some that's the thing that's always tough for me when I do 40K stuff. I love painting 40K models. It's not a game I'm interested in actually playing anymore. Which I think a lot of people are in that same boat where they just get tired of Games Workshop because they're not the best company when it comes to caring about their customers, really. That might be too bright. Let's back that light off a little bit. There we go. That's a little better. I think it was way bright for those first couple times I was going over it. All of a sudden I looked up and the white, because the last few models I've painted on stream have been brown. So I think since this unit's primed white, it was a little overbearing. Tell you what, you throw the mountain into this unit, ooh wee. Whatever you're gonna go into is probably gonna die. Mountain's character in the show is also pretty interesting because they had that one actor who was uh, the mountain initially, right? I feel like most people didn't care about the mountain, but then all of a sudden, when the old strong man actually became the mountain, that's when people were like, "Holy crap, this character's cool," and they got all into it. What is all this? Sorry, I just got to check. All right, keeping on, keeping on. Go. Yeah, can't wait to get that boon. Hopefully, it'll come soon. Just put it in. I didn't see when it's supposed to show up, but Amazon's been great. I mean, Amazon could almost replace the postal system at this point. Which I'm sure would be a long-term goal of Amazon. Just be the postal system. Like if Amazon had everything go through them and just got a monopoly over that, I'm sure they would eat that up. I don't know if the government would bust that though. They probably would because they want to keep the postal service in business. But tell you what, we've been using a lot more Amazon in the post office, that's for sure, especially with this pandemic going on. Trying to get my buddy Russ to do a Song of Ice and Fire on Tabletop Simulator and stream that. Which I think we're going to do. I just got to find a time for that. Maybe I can get Nick to do that too. Do, 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 boom. Hit him up, hit him up. I do got to go back and look at. They had a recent errata come out, probably about. This is right before the pandemic kind of hit. So I got to go back and look at it, see how the Lannisters changed, because I know they played a couple of games before all this where panics changed. So now you roll, and it does, what was it, D3 plus 1 wounds instead of your normal, which is pretty sweet because before, if you failed it, the crappy leadership units took the most hits because it's like, oh, your morale's crap. Just got my thumb on the paint that I was working on over here. It's like, oh, your morale is 9. okay, you're probably going to take 5 wounds here. Whereas now, I mean, you're taking D3 plus 1. It's like, that's better than what it was. Where are you? Get on there, Mr. Banner himself. I think white was one of the hardest colors that I had to learn to work with painting, because white's one of those weird colors where it really doesn't look good, especially when you're putting these base colors on. But then once you hit that wash, you start to realize why white is kind of a better primer, in my opinion, because the colors stay brighter. Okay, we're going to back this down a little bit. Okay. Turn down the lamp. Hopefully that kind of helps a little bit. It'll be better once we get all these colors on there, because once the colors get on there, obviously the light doesn't reflect as much. This banner's all bent up. You gotta really have a good storage system for these banners. Otherwise they looked all jacked up. So the paint party that me and Eric are doing tonight, I've been trying to do it all week, but it's been one of those things where he's had some D&D stuff. I've been kind of tired just because, life. And it was tough for me this week just to get the streams in that I wanted to do for Jacob. So I think tonight we're actually going to do it. I'm going to pin him down here in a minute and get a hard time for it. That way I can start promoting it better tonight. Okay, are you good? Nope, we got this. Let's polder in over y'all. Alright, I think we're good with you. That one scene where the sand viper, what's his name, Oberon from Dorne, when he's doing the whole thing where he's dueling the mountain and he's like yelling at him like, you raped her, and kind of goes into that whole thing. Made me kind of think of Emilio Montoya from Princess Bride, where he's all like, you killed my father, prepare to die. Really reminded me of that. Too bad it didn't end up like Emilio Montoya. I mean, technically he did kill the mountain, so... Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Game of Thrones. Okay. How many more we got? We got 1, 2, 3. 3 more with the gold. Then we'll probably hit up the rear. What do I want this padding to be? I think that quilt pattern I'll make actually a yellow. So maybe I gotta hit this other metal then. We need a brown too. So I think I'll hit the browns, the reds, and then the yellow. That's probably what I should do. Because I actually had somebody message Jacob's shop, and they were like asking about what I thought of their Space Marine paint job, and I was like, that's actually pretty good. I mean, that's tabletop quality. And they were asking for some pointers, and I told Jacob to tell them that highlighting is just kind of the next step. A lot of times people are scared to make bold highlights with bright colors. And you don't want a lot of them on your model because then it just can look too much. But there are some very defined points on a model, and you kind of know them when you see them. And when I paint the Space Marine, I'll kind of show what I mean. Because especially when you have armor like that, you don't want to do it on every edge of the armor. Like this guy, I'm actually not gonna. I don't like highlighting metals. Metals, unless I just need them brightened back up, I leave alone usually after the wash, just because I like the dirty metal look. And I don't have enough different tones of metal to do that anyways. Like this is the only, I have a brass, but I don't have a different shade of this is my point. Okay. So usually when I'm done with metal, I'm done with metal. 2 more. And we'll look at the unit as they go, as they progress. Alright, let's get together. Yeah. Hopefully, everybody's stuff is painted as we get closer and closer to hopefully being done with this quarantine stuff. We should all just wait outside the final round until Jacob opens the doors. Go open the doors, Jacob. We demand our nerd stuff. Let's see here. There we go. All right. Welcome to the chat, guys. We're just doing some Song of Ice and Fire minis. Painting them up. Really cool Game of Thrones tabletop game if you haven't heard of it before. And I'm currently painting up the Mountains Men. So these, I'll show you the whole unit once I get done with these 2 models in this gold. Because the unit looks really cool. Pretty awesome in the game too. They just hack people down. Alright. Because I think they have critical blow, which means that they basically do 2 wounds instead of just 1 when they hit and wound. So if you roll 6, you get 2 hits. 2 wounds, I should say. No, I'm right, 2 hits. It's a wound when they're not saved. It's been a little bit since I've played the game just because of our current situation. Sorry, you guys won't be able to see that right there because that's kind of a tight spot. I was also saying that because of the patrons, we're actually getting a boon kind of stand for the camera. So it'll be easier to see what I'm painting because it'll be more of the overhead view instead of what you currently see. So we're getting there. We're becoming real streamers, you guys. Alright, last guy with the gold, and then we'll show you guys the unit so you can see what we're dealing with here. Oh, come here. I think their armor save's only like a 4+ though, so that's not great. Because you see them and they're kind of wearing full plate, but it's not. Apparently, at least Apparently in the game, full plate on foot doesn't give you more than a 4+ save unless you have a shield. Which I guess makes sense. We got some people that are like, I don't know medieval armor, so I can't really tell you. Alright, anywhere else? Cool. Alright, and we got a little bit more silver to do, but I'll probably move on to one of the other colors. Okay, so this is our unit. Those are the mountainsmen, La Montaña. Okay, you're facing the wrong way, dude. Yeah, so they're just a really heavy hitting unit. So banner's pretty cool too. They got the mountains symbols, which are the hounds, not the Lannisters flag, which is always pretty cool. So we're gonna keep working on these. Let's try to go to some of these probably tans. Do I have my brown over here? It's my snake bit leather. If not, I'm gonna paint red. All right, we'll go to red then with this contrast. Pow! Blood Angels red. All right, so we'll have the tabards be red, and we'll have that quilt look be yellow. I think that's how we're gonna go. Bold move, Cotton. See if it pays off. Yeah, tone that down. These, I'm telling you, these mountains men are. Until we get that white painted up, that's gonna be bright. Sorry, I was drinking. I like my new mic that I got where I can just lift up the mic and it mutes it. All right. Yep, so I'm going to use the contrast paint to get this layer down, and then we'll build it back up to a brighter red / orange-ish. Alright, you're fine there. So you got my brother John on the chat. How the kids doing, John? Hopefully they're doing well. Yeah, I love watching these contrast paints work. They really do settle into the model really well. Okay. We do have some like blood effects that we'll do at the end of the model, but I'm not worried about that right now. Do I want to do this as like a brown? That could be cool. Yeah, let's make this guy a little different. Let's do it like he has kind of like a brown coat over the tabard. That'd be pretty cool. All right, I think we're good there. Oh, I forgot to get that. That's okay. Guy doesn't have a lot of red on him, which is fine. I think I will do that for all of them though, because that way it has some of the models will have a darker tone to it, and the unit will. Because that's the thing about this type of warfare. A lot of people like to think about the clean uniforms. Everybody looks the same. But units like this for the Mountainsmen would have been a bunch of people that, yeah, maybe they were armored, but their clothing would all be different. Just because they couldn't afford some of the nicer clothes, especially the Mountainsmen. That's why if you look at medieval warfare, all the people fighting would have just different types of weaponry and different types of armor and clothing over the armor. You don't really have any red on you, do you? Keep that yellow, so we're not gonna guess those don't have any red. That's fine. Fine, just fine. This guy's got red on his hair. He had a nasty gash on the side of his head, apparently. Dun, 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 dun. And the cool thing is they have most of the large houses out in this game, so no matter which one you like, it's available pretty much. Like I said, I think they're putting out more Targaryen stuff. That's the newest faction. Baratheons are getting more stuff. The other factions like the Starks and Lannisters are pretty much already have a good amount of their stuff. Neutral factions getting more, so that's where you got like the Boltons. All the Boltons are dead. Alright, where else do we need this? On the other side of that. I say Brandon was probably popping in to see if I was painting more Malifaux. Which I do need to finish up some Malifaux. Malifaux's just kind of been on the back burner. Malifaux is one of those games where I really need to be playing weekly in a store to enjoy that. Because there's a lot of stuff I got to test out. And to me, it's just tough to test that game out online. Alright, I think we're good there. Oh, I can go back and do this guy. He's got a little kind of kerchief on the back of his uniform here. So we can paint red. That was good because I do like including the same colors somewhere on the models. So for example, these guys are going to have red and yellow are going to be the main colors on this with some brown. So I do want each model to have both of those characteristics. Because then it unifies the army. So even though they're not identical uniform-wise, they have the same colors. Good. Same colors to unify them, so. Hopefully y'all are surviving out there, helping out your stores the best you can. Because that's one thing I really don't wish to happen during this, is all these small businesses are really struggling. So I'm really hoping that whatever you can do to help out your local game store, that you guys do it. Like for example, I've been doing a lot of this stream for the final round, and it's not getting like the most traffic, right? But there are people that like watching it, and it brings them to his channel on Facebook, create some interest in tabletop and some of the products that he has, because Jacob actually has a lot of this Song of Ice and Fire stuff. So if you like these minis in Game of Thrones, I would definitely check it out at his store. He has the big starter box, which includes the Lannisters and the Starks. He also has the Free Folk starter. And then I think he has a box of neutral stuff and a box of Bolton stuff. Okay, we're good there. Cool. And one more model with the red. Filters through, don't you know? All right. Moving right along. So support your local game store. I think it's going to be interesting to see how these stores open back up. I was talking with some of the people I know that own game stores. This isn't just the final round. There's just other people, because I talk with a lot of nerds from all around the world that they talk and they own stores, and we're all just curious on what's going to happen when things open back up. And I've heard a lot of different things, and some of those include like putting actually those like plexiglass on like gaming tables. So like if I was gonna play a game of Magic, I gotta have this thing of glass in between me and my opponent as we pass our cards kind of through, which I think would be kind of dumb, but I understand. And then was another one. You got to be like 6 feet apart. There can only be so many people in the store. There's the snakebite leather. All right, let's see how we're looking here. Let's turn everybody around. Okay. Starting to get there. All right, we need snakebite leather. I need this darker one too. Which one do I want to do? I probably want to do the darker one first. Let me go grab that out of the paint kit here. Oh man, I got so much cool stuff I want to paint, because I'm painting these guys. I have Half Tusk over here for God Tier, which I'll show him off real cool, just because I saw him and I'm like, oh god, I want to paint him up too. So I got this Half Tusk troll, who you can see is just ridiculously huge. Like if you put him next to the Game of Thrones model, just want to paint him up. He's just cool. He smashes in the game. So I want to paint him up. I got this 40k stuff. Got this Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff, which is really cool too if you haven't seen some of this stuff. So I got like Bucky that I'm painting up right now. The Winter Soldier. Already got Venom kind of painted up. So got a lot of really cool minis that I'm painting up and trying to finish. Really need to finish these Crisis Protocol models, so probably paint a little bit of them tonight. I might finish that off and then do the Malifaux stuff on this paint party tonight. So let me get this darker brown. That way we can do this. All right. So we're going to use this mainly on the models that have those really long cloaks. And if you haven't seen these Game of Thrones models, whenever you get a unit, there's basically 3 types, and then there's usually a champion and a banner. So if you look in this kit, oops, not you. These are the 3 regular models that you get. So there's going to be basically 4, 4, and 4, right? Because there's 3 different ones. Actually, is that right? Yep. And then you're going to have a banner, which is this guy. And then there's another model that's probably in that box somewhere that is actually your champion, which I don't think, actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if the Mountains Men have a specific champion, because I think they have the Hound and then the Mountain that you can use as the attachments for this. So it might just be 4, 4, 4 in the banner when you get these units. Okay, but these are the guys that we want. Let's go, there's 4 of them. And those are going to be the guys that have this dark brown on them. Okay. We're going to use this this wildwood. It's kind of a darker brown. It's going to be almost a black, but I didn't want a black. I want a dark brown kind of tone here. So this is almost a black, but it's just a really dark brown. I don't like how you're not sticking. That's why you gotta be careful when you prime these, because if you don't prime them correctly sometimes, or if it doesn't get full coverage, sometimes this contrast paint doesn't like to stick. And I've heard people say that the contrast paint can go like right on the plastic, and I don't believe that. See people popping in on both chats. Definitely a little quiet though. Got some voyeurism going on here where people are just like, I'm just gonna pop in. I just want to see what you're doing, but I don't want to talk. Long time listener, first time caller. Is that actually looks like plate over that? Alright, well, I don't know quite how that works. Sorry, I'm just checking out this model because it has this robe effect over the top and the bottom, but when you get to the front, he has like a plate just on top on the front. Which is a little odd, but we'll paint that up. Should I just paint that brown? Because it doesn't make sense. Why would the robe stop there? Maybe it's opened up where you can just see a little bit of plate, maybe? We'll paint it as plate. It'll look cooler that way. The rule of cool. Ah, I need a haircut so bad. Oh, like this headphone is so cringy on my head with this long hair. So some people have hair and it grows down, right? You end up getting these long locks. Mine does not. Mine is a helmet when it gets long. So basically it just poofs out more. It's not a fro though. Just really thick, just so uncomfortable. I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, I want to get a haircut, but I do so bad. When I was in the army, I used to get a haircut every week. Not just because I had to, because obviously I did, but even when I got out of the army, if I could afford it, sometimes I could, sometimes I couldn't. But because civilian haircuts are so expensive. Remember when I used to get a haircut in the army for $5. But anyways, I would totally get a haircut every week if I could. I love it. I love keeping my hair short. So I don't want to be that guy, but that's totally one of the things I can't wait for. Like I guarantee, as soon as my barber opens back up, that first week I'm going to get a haircut. Yeah, I like putting this darker brown into. See, I did on this guy. Guess I'm not too crazy, but this is gonna look good when the unit's done because we're gonna have a lot of armor and a lot of light, like red and yellows. So these kind of browns in the middle of it is going to complement it really well. So I'm actually glad we decided to do this because we're in this together, folks. I channel my painting decisions through you. Even if you just come back and peruse this 5 days later. I am behind on my thumbnails. I need to do that today. So I was pretty good there for a little bit where I was like doing a thumbnail every time I released a video. I just fell back on that a little bit. That's okay, people. We get busy. We'll be fine. We'll make it. Okay. Next. All right. Don't know why I got round and round stuck in my head. Was that a rat song? Or is that Warrant? I think it's rat. Round and round. Because you know, love will find a way. Just give it time. And you know, round and round, what comes around, it goes around. She put an arrow through my heart. All right, how are we doing here? I'm going for a little over an hour. I think something that hopefully you guys are noticing And this is something when you are determining what kind of game you want to play. This is where you got to determine what you are willing to do to play that game. Because the great thing about this Song of Ice and Fire is you don't have to assemble the models, they come pre-assembled. Check, right? Good. So you have to decide, is the game I'm going to play going to be one I want to spend time assembling models? If it's no, then there are certain games you want to stay away from, right? If you don't mind assembling models, then you don't mind. I know people who hate it. I have things that help me out, but I understand people that don't like it. So that's the first thing. So this game, check, you don't have to assemble. Great. Next thing you want is painting, right? Do you want to paint models? Or if you really just are like, I don't just like painting a lot of models. Because in a game like this, you're going to need somewhere between 40 and 50 models probably. I'd say that's pretty average. I'd say the average number of activations in Game of Thrones is somewhere around 7 to 8. I think 7's a pretty normal amount of activations. So that's including whether you have heroes, that's including units. So that means you're going to be somewhere around 50 models. If you are like, oh yeah, I can totally paint 50 models, that's better than I've done Warhammer, I've done War Machine, I've had 200 models in a list before. Okay, Game of Thrones is probably okay for you then. But if you're like, whoa, that's a lot, I cannot dedicate that much time to painting, you might want to look at some of the skirmishing games then. Or watch a lot of my tips on how to paint faster. Because like right now, I know that we've been doing this for an hour, but we literally have we only have 2 more base colors we have to do on these units really. Yellow and the tan. Sorry, and the flesh. They're the skin color. Skin won't take that long though, because the only skin exposed on these models are their faces. They don't have it on their hands and their arms aren't showing. So just a little over an hour, we'll probably have most of these colors down on it. Right, let's show off these 3 or 4. Okay, so we got this brown painted on. You can see it a little better on the back where it really kind of blends in well. Like I said, just this kind of darker brown. It's going to add a nice contrast to some of the brighter colors that they'll have on their uniforms. Because I think what I'm going to do is that they have this plaid on, or this quilted kind of padding that you would see under armor. I think I'm going to do that the yellow, and then the rest of it will be silver, and then their hair and skin. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, I want to use this brown on one more thing. There's the models that don't have a lot. So we want these 3. I'm gonna use that brown just on the back. They have God bless it. Give me a sec. I just got some. Do a little cleanup on aisle 3. really got to watch these contrasts, because if they're not closed all 100% of the way and you do a quick shake, like I can get away with that with the normal paints, but with these, since they're a little more fluid, they really can get out of that crack out of the back. It's the second day in a row I've done that. It's kind of annoying, but it's all right. Just got to learn from it. Actually, I think I'm going to keep this out because this is actually going to be a good hair color for some of these guys too, because it's a darker brown. So we'll do that. See, that turned out really good. Yeah, I'm telling you, contrast paint's a great tool. Like I said, I don't have the contrast paints for every single color because I don't think I need it for every color. Because actually this brown, I probably haven't used in about a month. But it's just one of those things where I was just looking at it, I'm like, you want to know what? This would actually be good because it's a darker brown on this unit. Yeah, cool. Let's see that. Check the old messages here. Malfocal stuff that doesn't apply to me. Ooh, let's see if I won my gift card for Teacher Appreciation Week. Come on, no whammy. No whammy. Ah, boo. Hopefully they give out more. And really, it's one of those things where, oh god, there's more padding on the front. Well, let's be honest, a lot of times those gift cards that you get from your job, like random raffles and stuff, they're not for anything you would ever get yourself, and then you end up spending more money because you normally wouldn't even go there, which I know is part of the gimmick, right? Because they're like, oh, you're going to bring friends and family. So yeah, I'm giving away like a free dinner, but I'm getting 4 people that wouldn't have been in here to buy stuff. So I get the gimmick. But for some reason, it's just in that human mind where you're just like, oh man, come on. I want to win. I want to feel like I'm winning. Okay, this is a little interesting because the primer didn't quite stick to the back of this as well. And the contrast paint's still filling that in there pretty well and still giving us mostly our desired effect. It's pretty interesting. I don't know why they call these contrast paints and they just didn't call them like an ink. So like brown ink. Because really that's what this effect mostly does. Alright, now let's do the hair on some of these guys. So yeah, I wanted to do it because this padding kind of on the back. We're getting there. Getting there. All right, let's do some hair. Okay. Let's do one of these. Cool. Let's do another one of them. Cool. All right. Let's get rid of that dark brown. Let's switch to that snake bite leather. That's the flash. There it is. Snake bite leather. Okay. Sun's melting down over there. Why? Cool. Yeah, if you're not a big fan of painting browns, snakebite leather is really good. I know a lot of people who don't like fussing with brown paints. That's probably fine. That's probably fine. Cool. Because I know brown's one of those colors where if you haven't done a lot of it before, it can be a little challenging, especially when, I mean, there's been times, crap. Okay, that's fine. There's been times where I've been painting something and I've had to use 6 different types of browns on a model. And it's really just tonal difference, just because it's kind of hard to explain. Because if you don't paint brown carefully, it can literally just look like a turd. So I've just noticed a lot of times if I want a model to look really solid, it just takes a lot of working with brown to make that look right. Yeah, I'm trying to think when that was. It was a handful of years ago, probably when I started playing Circle of Ouroboros. I started really experimenting with painting browns, oranges, and greens, autumn colors, because that's the way I painted my circle. So I just started messing with it and start with really My way I paint browns is really just kind of basic. I start with a really dark Mournfang, scorched brown kind of look. And then I build that up to usually some kind of, well, I wash it and then I put that same dark color on it again. And then I'll go up a shade, usually to like either a Zandari Dust or a Snakebite Leather. So we'll do that. And then might even go up brighter brown if I need to. Just depends. Snakebite's a really good one to usually highlight with. This sheet is a little bent. Okay. Yeah. Alright, how long have we been going for? We got about an hour and 10 minutes, so let's do this color. We'll do their faces. And we'll probably call it good there. We'll do the wash off camera, and that way when we come back tomorrow, we can just do the highlights and stuff on these guys and hopefully finish them up. Because that's probably that's a tougher part I've noticed about streaming painting, is once you get to the wash phase, it can be like, oh, well, do I just sit here for the 30 minutes? So that's why I've done it a couple times where it's like I'll paint something different while that's waiting to go. And it doesn't take too long. It might take 10 minutes while the wash is setting in, if I have it like in front of my fan. Man, I have a popular one today. Let's see, let's get these. Yeah, because there's still some of this silver and yellow I gotta kind of get. So we'll kind of do some of this off camera. Like I said, I am going to do the paint party tonight with Eric. It'll probably be right around 9:30 Eastern time. I don't know if I am going to finish this. Let's finish these browns, and then we'll probably end up with that. I just really don't like taking these videos over an hour too much, because I feel like people will kind of peruse through it, and especially if there's not a lot of chat on it. If there's chat where I have people to talk to and the conversation is interesting, I'll go ahead and, hold on and keep going. But when it's just me like this, I'm kind of like, okay, well, I mean, the video is not going to be that entertaining to just sit here and listen to Pete talk by himself. I mean, I can talk, but let's be honest, it's better when there's some banter and maybe some topic changes. So I don't mind doing part 1, part 2s. I've been doing that with some of the paint stuff I've been doing. Okay. That's why these Game of Thrones models, the Song of Ice and Fire models are pretty cool. Because they do have the detail in even their individual units like this. Like this guy having the 3 bags and the short sword sheath and his sword and all the chainmail and the plate on top of it. Like, it's a lot of cool detail. But that being said, for your unit of 12, it's going to take you a minute to paint. Alright. I think we're okay there. Sorry, I know you guys can't see where I'm touching up, but just one of those angles. Oh dear. Hey, it's old Dennis. This paint up Song of Ice and Fire, Dennis, some Mountains Men. Once I get done with this guy, I can show you how the unit's looking so far, but slowly working on it. Dennis is one of the guys we've been doing the paint party with. And I've just been talking Dennis how it's tough to kind of, because Game of Thrones is a game where you can have anywhere between like 50 models to maybe some of them, like the free folk, you can get up to 100. Most of them are probably closer to 50. I was just talking about how it's kind of a grind to paint through that many models. That I'm sitting here painting 12 models for this one unit. And I'm kind of getting tired of painting this brown, not gonna lie. So you just gotta kind of mentally just keep going through it, just be like, okay, next. So you gotta have a lot of mental fortitude to do games that have a lot of different models in their units. Plus, they're so detailed. Very detailed models. So you decided not to buy the new Sisters of Battle. You're just painting your converted Sisters of Battle. Is that what's going on there? Is that? Did I hear you correctly? All right, we'll go with that. Yeah. So just to give Dennis and anybody else that pops in a quick look at what we're kind of dealing with here. These are the Mountains Men. Face the camera, boys. So pretty cool unit. Lots of character and lots of detail in the armor. Lots of tabards and padding and yeah, just lots of detail. So painting the old models so I can feel okay when I buy the new models. It's fair. Yeah, the one thing I definitely can appreciate though games like A Song of Ice and Fire and God Tier, like in games that I don't have to assemble the dang models. Because I've been playing a lot of Malifaux, and I'm gonna be honest, Malifaux models be kind of a pain in the butt to put together sometimes. Yeah, they're from Come On, so cool minis. So they're definitely cool models. Especially here, let me show you. You start getting into some of the character models. Who else do we got here to show off? So some of these are more done than others. So we'll put you to the side for a second. So I think this, I can't remember this. This might just be one of the guard champions of the unit. Not my paint job. He needs to definitely be touched up a little bit. Okay, then you have La Montagne, who, this guy, so picture this guy. I'm going to move this guy to the back. So picture the unit. The way that characters work in a game of A Song of Ice and Fire is you replace the model in the front left. You can only have one attachment in a unit, and you can put a character as that attachment. So imagine this unit. You have all these huge guys, and then look at the mountain just in this dang unit. Ridiculous. I mean, these models are pretty big in the game, but the mountain, look how huge he is in that unit. And then you're like, oh, well, doesn't the mountain also like to ride? Well, it's funny you say that because the mountain does, in fact, ride. So the mountain that rides model looks a little something like that. Once again, cavalry-wise, really huge model. So, it's ridiculous. So yeah, the minis for this game are really amazing. No, Dennis, here, I will show you an ogre. So this is the mountain, right? Here's an ogre. Or should I be more specific, a troll? But if you actually look at it, the troll actually, the mountain's not too much smaller than that troll when you actually look at their size comparison. This is a totally different game too. So yeah. So yeah, I like it a lot. It's a fun game. It's very and when you see the mountain on the battlefield, if he gets into something, they just die horribly. Especially if you have the mountain as your commander in game in the Song of Ice and Fire. He is so aggressive, it's ridiculous. You can get like extra distance to the charge and do do 2 charges in 1 turn. Pretty ridiculous. Good. 4 more. Yeah, you would definitely like playing the mountain as a commander. And that's why Game of Thrones, I mean, A Song of Ice and Fire is such an interesting game because different commanders and they really turn on different parts of an army. So obviously the mountain is all about combat, but he also preys a lot on kind of morale checks. So the different commanders just do different things. Some are better at attacking your hand, because there is a card mechanic in the game. Some commanders are better at maneuvering. Some can actually do damage to you through the tactics board. So there's a lot of different gameplay with the Song of Ice and Fire, which is what makes it a really cool game. I'm probably going to stream it here pretty soon. Okay, call that good. Yeah, I definitely like the Lannisters as a whole because they're very control heavy, meaning you can make a list. Sorry, I gotta listen because I'm hearing things hit things, and when you have a young boy, you gotta keep an ear out for those kind of things. But yeah, Lannisters can be very controlling. They actually, if you bring like Tyrion, if you bring like Tyrion, Cersei, you can just totally neuter somebody's hand and cancel like tactics cards that they want to play. Pretty much, they actually have a negate, which means if you play something, they can just like, nah, you aren't playing that. Didn't work. Sorry. Two more with the brown. Do need to get some more white primer. I prefer to prime white. I just like the kind of play you can get from a white primer in your colors. Especially with these contrast paints. Alright. Okay, I think we're good there, good there, good there. Cool. Radio gobbledygook. Yeah, and we'll definitely do a paint party again too, Dennis. I don't know what your schedule is looking like this weekend, but this weekend might be good for me to do another one, not just tonight. All right, we'll see if we can do it this weekend then, Dennis, because that'd be fun to do another paint party with you. I was just saying I got to finish up the Malifaux models I was painting when Eric and I did it. So, okay. All right, let's get a look at these boys. See where we're standing here and see where we want to kind of end up before we hop off for a bit. Because I still got the yellow and I still have the skin tone and some more metal I got to put on. But this is kind of what we're looking at so far for the Mountains Men. Yeah, I was just saying I'm actually, because of our patrons for the Rage Quit Wire, I actually just got a boon. A boon. Boon? Is boon right? Boon? Yeah, I think boon's right. Where that'll come over top so the camera will look more. Let's see if I can get an actual good angle here. Sorry for everybody that's getting like seasick. So it'll be like that. So when I paint, you guys will be able to see the model like that as I paint. So it'll be a better view that you guys will get of the models. But I'm happy with the way these guys are coming out. It's just there's a ton of detail in these models. So if you like detailed models, I would recommend getting into Song of Ice and Fire if you're a tabletop person, or if you just like Game of Thrones. This would be cool to paint up a bunch of them, and then just have your faction just look really cool in a display case. So this is actually one I'm working on. It's a commission, and I only have 2 more units to do with this. So I have the Mountains Men, and then the Halberds. So, and then I'll be finally done with it, and Jacob will be happy that he has his Lannisters. And then I actually want to start painting my Baratheons too. And the Baratheon models look really sweet. I'm actually going to show these real quick because I know people like Dennis in the chat will really like looking at these Baratheon models because they just have a lot of really cool details. So give me 1 second, I'll show it to you guys. I'll keep them in the picture while I get that. All right, so these are the Lannister Mountain Men, the faction that I'm really kind of jonesing about, and I don't have these guys quite done yet, is these are the Baratheons. So this is actually Stannis, which we're not quite done yet with, obviously. And then we have his units, which most of his units have these hammers, and they're heavily armored. And there's a couple different paint schemes that I've been messing with. Stannis, I'm going to keep darker with the dark red, but I'm also painting up yellow cloaks on all of the units. So, and then Renly's units are going to kind of have more of this bright green, which I don't know if I like Renly that much, so I might just kind of do Stannis. Just because I like his paint scheme better, and he's kind of more cutthroat, which is kind of my play style. I'm not always a fan of the attrition game. A lot of people like that attrition game where they can bring models back and, they're able to outlast you. I like, doing the damage. So that's why I like Stannis a little better. He has more of that mentality where he's like, I'm going to cut you down. So I'm going to start doing a lot more with the Baratheons. I'm kind of really, really jonesing to play them more. I do got to get Stannis's box. They have the knights coming out, which are these huge knights that are pretty slow. They're only like movement 4, which is slow for cavalry. Cavalry is usually 5 or 6 speed. But they're 2+ armor, and they have these hammers and shields, and they're just beating the bejesus out of people. So, really excited to do some more Song of Ice and Fire minis. So yeah, you're looking at these models, and you're like, oh yeah, man, hey, they look really cool, and they're like super armored. Well, it's like you're super armored until you're standing next to the mountain. Oh, good God, look at this. It's like, good God, you're about to die. Oh man. All right, well, hey, make sure that you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel. So even if you're checking us out on the on Facebook, whether it's the Rage Quit Wire or it's the Final Round Game Shop page, subscribe to the Final Round YouTube channel. That way we can grow that and maybe get some decent numbers on that as well. Do some more gameplay, do some more paint tutorials. Really just kind of BS while we paint. I really want to focus more on the live stream. And if you want to go back and watch the videos later, you can. But I really want to do more of the interacting while I paint, because I think that's where more of the interest is. Because then you can ask, how did you get this effect? Or what did you do there? and stuff like that. I like that more than just the paint by the numbers. Here's how I did it, because honestly, nothing I do is too crazy. It's just a process, and I built it up over time, and it you go from looking really basic like this because this this guy was primed white just like this mountains man here, and you can see you go from having these really kind of colors, yeah, sure, to all of a sudden it's like, man, look at all that detail popped out. And look how, and a lot of it's color choice too, because we have this really dark, kind of cool green color, and then we have this popped, really fire, really yellow color. So a lot of it's color choice too, and color theory. So please make sure that you guys like, subscribe to our Facebook channel, YouTube channel, Rage Quit Wire. A lot of stuff goes on there, and like I said, we're really pumping out a lot of content. So really excited for that to be happening. But until tomorrow, we're going to stream tomorrow, try to do it around the same time. I'm going to stream on Saturday, same time, just because since I didn't stream yesterday, I want to make up for that. So we'll stream on Saturday as well. And like I said, paint party tonight. Expect it sometime around 9:30 Eastern time. That's usually pretty the time period that I've been using for the paint party. But